Agency owners have a ton to think about every single day, from serving clients to growing the business, leading the team, et cetera, et cetera. Then there's the back office grind. Things like reconciling commissions, payroll, tax prep, HR compliance, blah, blah, blah. It's all necessary, but incredibly time consuming. That's where our friends and partners over at Agency Point come in to help. Agency Point specializes in all the details agencies can't afford to ignore: accounting, tax, HR, and legal. They can even handle commission reconciliation so that nothing slips through the cracks. And if you've heard us talk, you know that this is one of the most important things that agencies must do. By managing the back office essentials, they free up agency leaders and their leadership team to focus on strategy, growth, and clients. An agency that works with them told us, Agency Point gave me back 10 hours a week. And now I spend that time building my business, knowing the foundation is solid. If you're looking for a trusted partner who can help lighten the load without competing for your strategy seat, check out Agency Point.
Agency VA takes the majority of my time and my efforts, which I love with all my heart. But I've had a lawn mowing company. I've had a babysitting company. I had a cleaning company. I had a candy company, which was like Willy Wonka style. That was fun. And then I still own to this day an insurance agency.
Welcome to the Insurance Refocused podcast, where we're highlighting real agent stories and how they are innovating to respond to the changes and challenges happening in the independent insurance industry. My name's Lindsay, and I can't wait to introduce you to my amazing co-host, who just so happens to be my mom, Carey Wallace. Mom, how you doing today?
I'm doing okay, Lindsay. How are you doing? I don't really know how to answer that question today, to be quite honest with you.
I'm doing good, but I'm not the one sitting over here with a back problem.
I know, I'm sitting against a heating pad. I mean, how do you actually not feel old when you're, moving very slowly and sitting against a heating pad? I don't think that's a great day. I'm feeling my age today. I would tell you that. So, yeah.
Well, at least you have a beautiful view out that window of some nice water. And it's not freezing cold here, because we could be back in Virginia where it's cold.
We could be. You are 100% correct. And I got to tell you, it is like a special treat when I get to be on a podcast with people that I know, like, and trust, but also that I call really good friends of mine. So today is one of those days. And I'm really thankful for so many people in my life, but Wessly Anderson, you might be at the top of that list of the people in this industry that I am grateful to call a friend. So welcome to the show.
Wow, that's a cool introduction right there. Friendship's an important thing, and mine and Carey's friendship, Lindsay, I don't know if she ever shared with you. Carey actually hiked up a river with me to a waterfall, and we had to back out of our parking spot for maybe like a quarter of a mile because the roads were so thin. And if that adventure wasn't crazy enough, she then got in her car and came to my home in Aguadilla. And then I think we had dinner, and then you had beautiful friends with you, speaking of friends, and we caught a sunset like really quickly.
Nice.
And then shot back to the home in Aguadilla. And I actually, Carey, I think this is fun stuff for podcasts. I remember you feeling sheepish about bringing a bottle of wine.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So, we all revert to what we know. And then I realized that was a bad idea. Oops. So sorry.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea for even 1 second. But for those of you that don't know, in the Mormon culture, alcohol is not something, that one does. However, I'm probably not the poster child for the Mormon culture. So,
which is funny though, but Wes, you left out. So when we were at your house, we celebrated, was it your nephew's birthday?
So one of the dizzying effects about living in Puerto Rico is everyone has their vacation at my home. So to try and remember which niece or nephew, but yes, that rings a bell that it was one of them. It was one of them, and we had cake, and now my brain knows it was Aubrey's.
Yes,
It was
that's right. Oh, there
Aubrey's.
you go. That's right. Yeah.
But I would say we probably have 6 or 7 birthdays. People do their vacation, and it's one of their children's birthdays.
Yeah.
But you're right. We celebrated Aubrey's birthday. And I remember she felt very special because she said, Uncle Wes, why did they come? I'm like, for your birthday, dude. Like,
Duh.
why else would they
came
come?
for her birthday? Of course we did. Well, it was a
That's
pretty
so funny.
special time. I will say, and you know, someone's a really good friend when they'll open their home to you, but also really show us a side of Puerto Rico we would have never had the opportunity to see. And you knew me well enough that anytime I get to see a sunrise or sunset in a different place, I'm in 100%. So it's one of the best memories. And I love that I can call on you anytime if I have a challenge or I'm thinking about something. Those connections that you choose to make with people really transcend what you do for a living. That they just become true friendships. So I'm very grateful for that, Wes, for sure.
Well, I share and echo all of those. You've been so influential in just growth with my company in personal levels, and just, I would reciprocate that gratitude very much. So I have loved having a front row seat to watch you just to stardom, just to become a giant in the industry, traveling everywhere and doing everything. It's been beautiful to have a front row seat. And I get a lot of, well, I don't as much anymore because everybody knows you now. But in your early days, I would get this message like, yo, who's this Carey? And I'm just like, buckle up. You're going to love it. Just like plug your nose and jump in the pool. It's going to be a great experience and you're going to enjoy yourself. But I used to get those messages frequently. Like tell me, like, who's this Carey? And I'm like, you're going to know quick. Like, just hold on a second. It's coming.
Well,
So it's
thank
been
you.
great to watch you succeed.
I appreciate that. Well, speaking of, listen, we are surrounded by so many people that are entrepreneurs. Like it's in our DNA, basically, right? So you definitely fall into that category. Before we jumped on this podcast, I mean, I knew you were an entrepreneur, obviously, but I didn't know how seasoned of an entrepreneur you were and how many different businesses you had tried. So for the people who don't know you, maybe just give a quick brief about what do you do right now, but also all of the businesses that you have had. And let's just talk about buying, selling, building, all kinds of things when you are an entrepreneur. I'd love to dig into that.
That's wonderful. So right now, as it stands, I have my Ava hat on right now. Agent CVA takes the majority of my time and my efforts, which I love with all my heart. And at Agent CVA, we were able, and it was sheer luck, built a remote worker software, Ava, which is on my hat, right before COVID hit. And then COVID validated our software, Ava. And the past little bit of my life in Agent CVA has kind of just been twofold, focusing on the AI portion of our company. And then I've been so blessed to go to the offices across the globe, and we'll actually be in 20 locations here shortly across the entire globe. So just took my father to Singapore and Philippines, which was one of the coolest things of my life, for my father to be like, well, yo, what you're doing's real. These people are real. This isn't just fake. And so we got to celebrate with our people. So that was tremendous. Prior to that, I actually was raised in my father's technology company. So it was cool to go with him because he's kind of the one that, taught me everything that I know about business and being an entrepreneur. And I'll never forget the day that he started his company. He called me and my siblings to the kitchen table, and he talked about this revolutionary technology that would forever change time. He wasn't speaking about AI. He was actually speaking about CD-ROM. And that dates me. And people are like, what is CD-ROM? A little CD that you used to use. I don't even know how else to explain it. But his company is called iROM after CD-ROM because that was to change the whole world. And so I was raised in that. And have always kind of been his gopher. Like I had to do everything in the company, whether it was like cleaning the office or networking computers, programming, coding. I was just his person for all the jobs no one else wanted to do. And I loved it. And I actually thought that the rest of the world, while they were going through high school and middle school, they also had to help their father build a company. I just thought that's what you did because that's all I knew. I didn't know there was any uniqueness to that. But I also, while doing that, just very entrepreneurial family, I was going to write them down, but I only had a sticky note. So I was like going through it. But I've had a lawn mowing company. I've had a babysitting company.
Oh.
I have had, the cool thing about the lawn mowing company, I didn't mow a lawn. I actually had people that mowed the lawns. I negotiated the contracts and I got new business and I set up the structure. I never actually mowed a lawn. I had a cleaning company. My mom drove me around to businesses and I got the contracts to clean businesses.
Nice.
When I was 14 and 15. I had a candy company, which was like Willy Wonka style. That was fun. Like anything that you could do to like any type of like gummy bear or gummy worm, like, or any kind of nut, chocolate, toffee, we did. And at the peak, I was taking in probably 3,000 to 4,000 pounds of candy twice a week to some of my clients. Like it was a big company.
That's
the
huge.
theory behind that, all of my companies are like, I have a weird idea. My thought was, you're in a hospital. You just get good news that you have been in remission for cancer. So what do? So I thought, like, go eat candy, man. Like, go get some chocolate. Or the alternative, you're in a hospital, other side of the coin. You just found out the cancer is pretty aggressive. What do? Go get chocolate. And so, like, that was my thesis. And I started in hospitals and I put these big, giant displays, 1 pound of candy. I mean, it was a lot. It was an isolated marketplace. That was a really fun company.
That's fun.
I have done a lot with InsurTech type stuff, tons of stuff there. I mean, that whole web is pretty infinite. And then I still own to this day an insurance agency.
Wow, man. Which of the companies would you say you learned the most from?
The candy company probably, or the insurance agency. Yeah.
So when you opened the candy company, how old were you?
20, I don't know, ages, 20s, early 20s.
Okay.
Yep, because I was just married, because my wife would deliver the candy with our oldest child in a car seat on the little things and the dolly she would deliver.
So tell me, Wes, like, not all companies are created equal. Like there's no two ways around that. And I love that each of your companies, was an idea that you turned into a revenue stream, and some of which you actually didn't do the work. You delegated the work and was able to be the owner. Some of us strive to still to this day achieve that. That's not an easy thing to do. So the fact that you actually did that from the beginning in some of your early companies is impressive. Not talking about myself, but kind of talking about myself. Like, that's an incredible thing to do. I think there's lots of people that have trouble moving from being the company to running the company. So hats off to you for making that happen. But I'd love to talk about, you're obviously not running all of these companies simultaneously. So some of them you were able to sell, some of them maybe you were able to transition in a different way. Talk about the differences between some of these companies and what made them more valuable, more transferable than others.
That's a great question. So for me, my skill set is I can grow a company. So I love to scale. And I love chaos, because I think any level of growth is a high level of chaos. I'm a weird, unique individual where when peace and calmness comes, I will create it. I don't like to be stagnant. I have to be pushing and like growth, even as a young child, when you grow, you feel growing pains. Growth is painful, but I love I like yearn for that pain. So a lot of them I grow at a really aggressive clip. To me, it feels like it's normal. But then when I like put my head up for air and talk to others, like, you did what? You went and got this contract? How did you do it? So a lot of my companies that I've had, some of the greatest separators between them would be like the contracts that I had. There is a large, they pretty much dominate Utah, called Intermountain Health, and they have all the hospitals. It's like the largest. The University of Utah would probably be number 2. I had both of their contracts.
Wow.
And so the value of my company, for the candy company, if we're talking about that one, were these 2 contracts. And what happens, I think, for good companies or good founders or good anything, is none of those were handed to me, those contracts. Like, the process of getting those was a young, stupid, gritty 20-year-old that, like, I was told no and I actually like to be told no more than yes. I'm just a weird person. But they kept saying, no, no, no. Who are you? What are you? You're too young, whatever their reason was. And I just kept bringing them loads of candy. And I kept learning, like, this guy likes chocolate cinnamon bears. This one likes yogurt cinnamon bears. I would learn. I would listen as I was walking out. I would meet, their staff. I just wouldn't take no. Like, I remember them staring me in the eyes and being like, we would never sign a contract with you. And then I can remember the day that they did. And it wasn't anything intellectual. It was, I cared.
Yeah.
I was there. Half the battle showing up. The majority of people in business and everything, they just don't show up. They just don't do it. So I would say the contracts were the separator. And I would say the thing that helped the most was just like bulldozing through and not accepting no. Like, I knew that hospitals were where I had to do this. I knew it. I knew that was the answer. So you just had to get it done.
What made you move away from the candy business?
So when I say it's the greatest lesson because it was very painful. And I think those are the greatest lessons. And I think the greatest, you said seasoned entrepreneurs, the greatest have books or encyclopedias filled with horror stories.
Oh, heck
and
yeah.
This is one of those. I was using, I'm so weird. I was using natural gas vehicles, which means I was paying 63 cents for a gallon to deliver the candy. And then there was incentives where I was paid for my vehicles and my fleet to go out. There was incentives because it was a clean fuel. So I had purchased 2 new 1-ton natural gas vehicles. And the candy company, it was like the first time I had like this really cool company who was doing well. So I took my first vacation. I took my wife on a cruise. Prior to going on a cruise, our very first vacation, these 2 new vans, I had their titles, the actual title of the van. And I had purchased them and I put them on my desk and then I left. And so they didn't have the licenses. I literally bought the vans, jumped on the boat, and then left. When I got back from the cruise, I noticed that one of the vans had a license plate. And to get a license plate, you would have had to take the title into the DMV and collect a license plate. And so I didn't think much of it, but there was a person that I was working with and I was like, hey, dude, why is that licensed? Did you do that? And he was like, yeah, no, I did actually license it. And I remember thinking, like, did my van just get stolen from me? Like, did he like steal the van? Well, come to find out, he had whited out my information, put his information in there, stolen the van. And when there's smoke, there's fire. And so that was one thing. And that was minor compared to the other things that had done. And so I didn't know much about legal counsel. I didn't know much about anything. And that company was taken from me, very much stolen. I don't view myself as a victim because I kind of like I didn't know what to do. I think someone could have guided me, like, he just freaking stole it. I actually had the attorney general call me because he had like on his Y a little pigly tail and they could tell that he committed fraud on that. And it was like months after. And I was just like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be there. Like, it was a very toxic spot. So it just got taken. And the company, people always ask the next question after that is, what happened to it? It went up in flames. And I received no relief that it went up in flames. I would have just as soon had it, do wonderful.
Yes.
That was a tough lesson though.
There's lessons in everything we do, right?
Well, so we didn't ask you this question. Have all of the companies that you've started, have you always had a partner? Because in agency VA, you have Ben, right? This candy shop, you had a partner. Have there always been partners, or have you ever owned one just solely yourself?
Great question. No, I always have a partner. I always have, the way that I'm structured, attention to detail and operations. Like, I'm very self-aware are not my strength. So I always sign up with someone, that's their strength. I can grow, I can sell, I can create. I love all that stuff. But like, to sit down and like fill out an invoice, I refuse. So like, each of them have been, with someone that's their skill set.
Interesting. So when you're choosing your partners or finding your partners, has that been a process that you have a process for that, or they just kind of happen?
So in the early days, there was zero process. One was a guy that I was intrigued. I was playing him at ping pong, and he was so good. And like, I couldn't beat him. And so we became partners. That's literally one of them in the early days.
You couldn't beat him at ping pong. Okay.
He beat me at ping pong. I eventually beat him later on as we became partners. That's actually why I wanted to become partners, was to
ping pong player for life.
Ping pong. It really was a big reason. So the early days were stupid happenstance type reasons. Now in life, it's not what I do in anything, it's who I do it with. So now the vetting process of who I do anything with, anything at all, is quite extensive, extremely extensive, because of all of these horror stories of choosing partners because they're good at ping pong. So yeah, there's a greater vetting process, which now include the greatest person I've ever met for discernment of character. My wife now meets him, where in the past she'd be like, did you start another freaking business? Who's it with? And like, a lot of them, she'd be like, that's a complete idiot. And you're an idiot too. You're both idiots. And this is going to burn.
Well, actually, I think that everyone should surround themselves with someone who is willing to tell you that you are making the biggest mistake of your life. So
yeah,
you married well, my friend. You definitely married.
I agree.
Well. Yeah. So that's funny. So if somebody's listening to this, and there's plenty of people that are serial entrepreneurs, tell me who, or maybe you would just give advice, but who do you seek out advice from? Like, who has been your go-to person, or have there been many that you've sought counsel as you're moving through your career? What does that look like for you?
That's a great question. So first and foremost, I'm going to pick on the insurance industry. Not sure if this is a hot take or just truth. Unfortunately, the individuals that have megaphones, or what is viewed as like a great social media presence, unfortunately, I've looked under the hood of what they've created, and it's usually a hot mess of garbage. And then the alternative of that is the individual that's sitting there silently, unassuming, has no reason to boast or scream on social media, are the titans of that industry, of the insurance industry. That's been my experience. And so like, the litmus test for me, oftentimes, if you're screaming on social media, like, I just go to that unfollow button at a rapid rate, because I've learned that a lot. But who I follow, I have followed the loudest voices and lost. I have lost more than I've won because I have followed those loud voices. Now, if I hear a loud voice, it's almost a red flag for me. Like, why are you needing, why do you got that big truck, bro? What's going on? What are you hiding? My mentors, one of the greater ones that I can think of, is my neighbor up the road, and I'm in Utah right now, of my home in Utah. And the reason that I liked him is when my mother-in-law passed away, for every one of those, like, we need to call in a dude to come like chop a tree down or do things, this guy was always there. And like, what neighbor shows up to do the crap stuff? And I just admired this human. and
Mm-hmm.
he was super unassuming. Turns out he's like one of the highest ranking military officials. I went in his basement, and you would never know. There's him and George Bush, him and like athletes, but like,
Cool.
he's got his khakis and his New Balances, super unassuming, very good human. A lot of my mentors, I would say, are that. Those are the ones that I look up to now. Good people is a big deal to me.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree. And I would say the same thing. You got to go more than just who's the loudest in the room. The quiet person that's taking it all in and very measured with when they talk and what they say are the ones that pretty much have the most to say, but they're not going to dominate the room ever.
They have no need to.
Yeah, they absolutely don't. It's a lesson that's hard to come to, and it takes experience and some thoughtfulness on your own to actually realize that in a room, which is interesting. So yeah, it's a great point. And I don't know that that's not true in every industry, to be quite honest with you. I think that you always have to ask yourself, what's driving the person that is dominating the room? And unless you know the answer to that, there could be a reason that isn't exactly what you think it is. So yeah.
So I feel like we would be not having a very good podcast if we didn't talk about AI and how you
do
see
it.
that impacting plenty of different businesses across different sectors. What are your opinions on AI and how you're seeing it change different companies? What are your thoughts?
So I remember in the early days of search engine optimization, the SEO stuff, when people would type in Google, I'm looking for a blue North Face jacket. And then they would proceed to go on their phone and they would see about a gazillion blue North Face jackets. And they would think it was magic. And it was really powerful. And the buying pattern of individuals was a really unique thing that, like, it felt like, it was closing in on what we were fed. Well,
Mhm.
with AI, there's a storm of brewing, and people are putting in really unfortunate private not just buying patterns, but like people are doing therapeutic stuff, which, to each their own on what they want to do. But like, okay, one in your guys' world, I actually have had to leave all of the social media insurance groups because it's like a freaking chalkboard of bad advice. I saw people saying, put your profit and loss, your P&L inside of a
Ooh.
public, LLM like ChatGPT or Grok. The reality is anything that you put in there can and will be used against you. And if you believe that like the buying personas that were created through search engine optimization were aggressive and kind of annoying, AI is going to eliminate choice, I believe, on a lot of people. And so as it pertains to AI, and this has been my life it's kind of like the person that listened to the band before it was cool. AI has been something that I highly love, and I live by it, and I wear the AI glasses and I do all the things, but nothing that I do goes into a public LLM. Everything that I do is privatized. And so I have my own stuff. I'm pointing at it. It's a big machine that sits right here. It's an artificial intelligence that has been learning from me about me and has not touched the World Wide Web, and nor will it ever. And so like all of anything with AI, I think on a simple level, just like if there's any level or measure of privacy that you want to maintain, don't put it in there. Don't ask the question. Don't put a document in there. Don't do any of that. And I don't want to dominate this part right here, but you think about OpenAI. It was supposed to be open. It was supposed to be altruistic for good reasons. It was supposed to be a nonprofit. BS. 100% BS. There was, and now within the past couple days, ChatGPT has openly said we will begin advertising. And once they begin advertising and the money starts flowing, the motive starts changing. And this AI that's making everyone feel good because it agrees with everything they say and it's not a North Star, and it's not right, and it's not 100% accurate, and do not put private information in it. I don't know if I don't know if that's the direction you wanted to go, but that's been hot on my mind, and I keep seeing these horror stories, and it's
Yeah.
just going to get worse.
I think there's two polarizing groups of people out there. I think there are ones that know enough to see the danger, to understand the ramifications of it. And then there's others saying, what a great opportunity. Or maybe there's three, and there's others that are putting their head in the sand and saying, this isn't going to impact me. Right.
Mhm.
So, and I feel like those groups are very polarizing. It's not like you can straddle one or the other. So it's becoming so mainstream very quickly. And there's a lot of confusing and conflicting advice about there. Like, it's safe, it's fine, it's this, do that. Look how powerful it is. And then others saying, huge red X, don't do it. It can be a problem. And I think the biggest thing for me is, number one, get educated. Number two, know what differentiates yourself in your roles, and really focus your business on the things that differentiate you, rather than being fearful of something that is here and isn't going away. It is going to change how we do work. It's going to change how we live our lives. It's going to change a lot of the existence that we have. Changing with it is really important, and being safe while doing it is incredibly important. So, yeah.
Well, and remember, I shared with you guys, young child, gather around the table. We're excited about this new technology, CD-ROM. I will share with you, AI is that. AI is that technology that has, and will continue to revolutionize. All of us in the world today are in a unique spot that I don't know if there ever will be a time that more opportunities will be presented.
Yes.
So as far as like, I share, like, don't put private information in there. Oh my gosh, I am so bullish on it. Like, it is everything I eat, sleep, breathe.
Yep.
It's my passion. It's all I can think about. It's all I do. I've been doing it for, a number of years now. And it's just, you can't put I think the most dangerous one. So let me add maybe a little levels. You did 3 people. Okay. So putting private information there is secondary to me in the danger level. The highest danger level would be head in sand.
Yeah.
Because, you put
sure.
private information in there, you put your P&L in there. So now the world knows, that your insurance agency isn't as big as you say on Facebook. And so who freaking cares? Like, it happens. Okay. But you don't act on this stuff, educate yourself. You put your head in the sand about this. That is going to be the most catastrophic. And so I love taking them, probably 2 a week, of individuals that slide into my DMs and ask AI questions. And the first thing I provide them are just, there's a lot of free resources out there to learn and to do step 1 and sit and learn. But like, I was speaking with a individual yesterday, and I said, if you're blocking your day up, do at minimum 1 hour learning about AI. At minimum, do an hour to learn, because if you don't, and your head is in that sand, there's much greater implications than putting private stuff in there, which is bad too. Don't do either of those. Learn about it, educate yourself. It's not scary either. It's phenomenal.
Yeah. I think leading with fear is a really bad thing. And it reminds me of a post yesterday that was talking about just looking at the world a different way than being fearful or doing things out of a feeling trapped, rather than seeing the opportunity. So I agree with you 100%, Wes. I think one of the worst things you could do is be afraid of this and close down, but you need to utilize it in a way that's appropriate, and you need to find the fit. Different businesses, the fit of what AI can do is different. And I think you have to really think about it in a way, and surround yourself with people that are thinking about it and not running away from it. So it's a challenge in the insurance industry specifically. I think that we've been very, very remiss and very slow to adopt things. And I think that approach in this situation could be incredibly detrimental. And harnessing the opportunity that's in front of us, it would be And it could be the biggest decision for agents that want to have a very long career in the insurance industry. So, take that for what it's worth, I guess.
I think it'll be the greatest separator in the industry and it's people think they use the word disruption. AI is going to disrupt, take over, actually telling the story wrong. Those that leverage AI responsibly and well are going to separate themselves with those that don't. And it won't be the actual AI itself. It's like, to me, it's like a freaking loaded gun.
Yeah.
And I've actually been with Carey when she shot her first loaded gun.
That's funny.
It's not the person holding the gun, that's the most dangerous. It's the marksman that has weekly shot at the range, that can take his gun apart in his sleep, or she can shoot, at a target far away. They put in the reps. They learn about what's going on. It's actually not AI or not the gun. It's the individuals that have learned and put in the time, to know what it means and what it is, and its potential.
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Wes, for business owners who might be listening to this, throughout your experience having all of these different companies, I'd love to wrap up with one piece of advice you might have to someone who might be on their first company, might be starting their second company, just a piece of advice from a serial entrepreneur on things that you've learned.
Okay, so I think those starting companies listen to too many other people. They read lots of other books. They look at lots of other social media posts. And I think you're missing the mark, whether you're on day one or you're in your last breath of entrepreneurship. I think more energy should be learning yourself. And I think that step one is like, what am I good at? Like, be kind to yourself. What can I do well? And then after you've done that, really double down on what you're not good at.
Yeah.
And when you have identified what you're not good at, find others, use technology, and replace that. Do not try to do those things. Like, stop. Do what you're good at. What you'll find is a good, happy entrepreneur is doing what they're good at, and they're not touching the things, that they don't perform well at. So I would say the piece of advice I would provide is don't listen to the echo chambers and how all these other people did. Take energy and time and shut off the noise and learn about yourself and be hyper vigilant on making yourself better, knowing your weaknesses, as well as doubling down on strengths. I think that that's super critical in entrepreneurship.
I think that's great advice. Super great
I love
advice.
That.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Wes, we can talk to you forever.
Thank you for joining us. As she said, we could absolutely talk to you forever. I feel like we just sat down and had a nice dinner together. I feel hungry now. We missed the dinner part of this adventure together.
Agreed.
Thanks so much for joining us, Wes. Really loved having you on.
You bet. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in to the Insurance Refocused podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to hit subscribe and leave us a review so you'll never miss us. Want to learn more about how Agency Focus can help you grow your agency? Head to agency-focus.com or email Carey directly at carey@agency-focus.com. If you need to get in touch with me, feel free to shoot me an email at lindsay@agency-focus.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.